Absolutely, but don't even believe that there were 5 options. What you really saw were Harry's and Meghan's fantasy narrative, which they call the truth.
He is hoping that she's going to become a billionaire off all of this, which again is total insanity. I think the woman's expectations are so unrealistic.
They are at the moment facing a real crisis. Meghan and Harry's crisis, completely of their own making, is they have no major projects, no major money earners. And so they're more desperate than ever.
Haven't been back since. Why wouldn't you nurture that popularity? It's nothing they do makes sense.
We come to was never, as Lady Colin Campbell has christened Meghan Markle's lifestyle business. Now, Brittany, you have been on this right from the start. It has been obvious that this business is a disaster.
Wait a second, because what Tom Bower just put out about Meghan Markle's reported 2026 money situation is not something her team would celebrate. We're talking whispers of $23 million worth of unsold jam sitting in storage, the Archewell Foundation labeled delinquent in California filings, a Netflix project reportedly ranking way down the platform list, and big billionaire dreams that haven't matched the results. And here's the thing, Tom Bower has built a reputation for digging deep. What he's suggesting now isn't just about a rough year. He's hinting at a much bigger unraveling. According to him, this isn't temporary bad press. It's a pattern finally catching up in real time. A lot of people brush it off. They look at Harry and Meghan and think they're still wealthy, so what's the issue? But Bower's argument goes beyond cash in the bank. He talks about what he sees as a slow breakdown of strategy, something he claims he predicted years ago.
Are they insane? What is happening? There is complete and utter chaos going on. The Meg and Harold are taking their rebrands far too literally at this point. Archwell, their charity effort, has not only changed its name from a foundation to philanthropies, which is even worse branding, I might add.
Money is officially drying up for Prince Harry and Meghan Markle. As more and more news of the dissolution of Archwell Foundation comes forward, it's very, very clear that this restructuring is due to a lack of one very, very key thing, which is money. In fact, Harry and Meghan sold themselves to a dinner table at $100,000 a pop to raise money for Archwell.
Meghan herself.
And Meghan herself.
In the months before she met Harry, was setting up
the implosion of the Sussexes. Meghan Markle's Archwell charity scam and as ever lies have finally been exposed, and an astonishing double blow for the fake Dutch.
And now says is unfolding publicly in ways that can't simply be polished over with branding. Bower spent years researching the couple. He reportedly spoke with more than 80 sources, former staff members, royal insiders, Hollywood figures. The image he presents is dramatic, huge ambition meeting hard reality. That's his framing, not speculation pulled from thin air. Think about it. Meghan stepped away from one of the most powerful institutions in the world, secured a massive Netflix deal reportedly worth around 9 figures, launched a lifestyle brand, created a charity, and spoke about reshaping culture by 2026. That's a bold vision. Now Bower is pointing to financial filings and public numbers, asking whether that vision is holding up under pressure.
But Harry doesn't want to know any of that truth. That's the trouble with Harry. He just likes, because in his simple way, the paparazzi murdered my mother. Well, it wasn't as simple as that at all. And I predicted it in the book, but even I would not have thought it'd be that accelerated. I think personally, they've separated their professional lives, but I think what's really a great problem for them now, as of in the last few weeks, is that Meghan has got no real income anymore. She's finished.
Right.
The Netflix series is over. There's no great podcast. They don't generate any money. And I don't see where she is going from here. I think she has a major problem. And I think as of this week, the signal for her great problem, their problem is that they've got no future. I mean, as ever, all her products, of course, is a complete disaster. She's got no Netflix series. She hasn't got any project at all. And they are literally wallowing in a maze where to go. And so predictably.
Let's look at Archewell Foundation because Bauer argues this is where the clearest clues sit. When it launched in 2020, it was presented as a humanitarian mission and named after Archie, focused on compassion and service. That was the public story, but Bauer points to publicly available 990 tax documents to tell a more complicated version. In 2021, Archewell reportedly received about $13 million, its strongest year financially. And that peak, according to him, is where the real questions begin. Now here's where the numbers start raising eyebrows. The year the Netflix money reportedly landed and the book advance came through, things looked strong. But fast forward to 2024 and donations reportedly dropped to about $2.1 million, down from $5.3 million the year before.
I mean, extraordinary that the non-disclosure agreements are so draconian, so watertight, that nobody dares sell their story. I mean, that is what's quite astonishingly clever of Meghan and her lawyers to protect their reputation and all the dreadful things that have happened in Montecito behind the high walls. But my book reveals a bit more about that, my future book. But that's a tease. I do think the problem with Meghan is that she never actually says anything in interviews. It is so carefully controlled, so carefully chosen what she's going to say that she says really pretty well nothing. Now, is it because she's got nothing to say, or is it because she is fearful that if she did move off the benign script, she would actually get into real trouble? I think it's the latter. She's clever enough to know that to retain her mystery and status, she should reveal nothing about herself.
There's been leaked financial details from the Archwell Foundation that's quite fascinating because it shows that there's two donors who've given one of them $15 million and one $3 million.
Expenses that same year, around $5.1 million. That math doesn't sit quietly. More went out than came in. And this is the detail Tom Bauer keeps circling back to. Out of that $5.1 million in reported expenses, roughly $1.25 million allegedly went directly to charitable programs. The remaining millions covered salaries, travel, security, and admin costs. Security alone has been estimated at close to $2 million annually. That's a major slice of a nonprofit budget. Bauer's position has been clear. He argues Archewell wasn't built like a traditional charity, but more as a structured foundation that also aligned with the couple's broader financial world. To be fair, structures like that aren't unusual in the US. Many high-profile figures set up foundations in similar ways. But according to Bauer, what makes this case stand out is the pattern he believes followed.
It was a Channel 5 investigation as to the state of the Sussex's finances. Now, we know they didn't move to a two-bedroom cottage somewhere in the middle of nowhere. They're living in quite a large mansion in Montecito. And one of the things that Prince Harry made very public when he left the royal family, one of the things that he was quite disgruntled about was the fact that his father basically cut him off financially. So really, they were in a state where they had to make a lot of money and a lot of money fast. He blundered in a video and said, the Netflix deal was an idea that was pitched to him.
Well, I do think the Sussex overdrive is unbelievable.
Years ago, we were talking about Meghan Markle running for president. And what a decline, how irrelevant they've become today. Do the Sussexes still pose an institutional risk, or are they now culturally sidelined?
I mean, an institutional risk to the British monarchy?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. A huge risk.
Really?
Absolutely, because there's no doubt as they become more desperate.
At its peak, Archewell reportedly had about 5 employees. By the end of 2024, that number had dropped to just a few after what was described as a rebrand. Reports suggested staff reductions hit more than half the team. Some former staff allegedly believed operations were winding down, only for that message to later shift. Then the website went offline during the transition to Archewell Philanthropies. That sequence, Bauer suggests, adds to the confusion. He describes it as a cycle when pressure builds, messaging adjusts, a site goes dark, a spokesperson clarifies, and the public is left sorting through shifting explanations. Meanwhile, the state of California issued a delinquency notice tied to filing requirements. meaning paperwork wasn't properly submitted at one point, temporarily limiting fundraising activity. For a foundation presenting itself as global and mission-driven, that kind of notice draws attention. Not necessarily scandal on its own, but definitely a warning sign that invites scrutiny. And if Archewell represents what Bauer calls a slow decline, he argues the lifestyle brand as ever is a different story entirely. From the beginning, he questioned whether it could hold up under real market pressure, and now he claims the cracks are showing. Now this is where things get loud. Tom Bauer argues that Meghan's business moves were driven more by image than long-term strategy. When As Ever launched in April 2024, the headline screamed that her jam sold out in hours. It looked like instant success. The rollout was polished, dramatic, headline, ready. But then online shoppers started digging. Some noticed that by adjusting quantities in the cart, you could see estimated inventory levels.
Revealed how catastrophically bad things are going for Harry and Meghan. Archwell is essentially done. Any aspect of their charity has essentially collapsed completely, and it's been revealed for what it really always was, which is a publicity stunt. They were completely and utterly willing to throw aside the people they were supposed to help, and now we have the situation where it's all their art. It's just artifice. It's just there for show, and Harry and Meghan just don't have a lot of hope going into 2020.
Want to get into the details of this, Brittany, because the details here matter, given that everything Harry and Meghan do is topspin, trying to convince the world, and very often the mainstream media are sucked in, that everything's okay, but it's really not. And the first revelation in regards to Archwell is that the charity is down to just 2 staffers.
Not Harry and Meghan, and she didn't want to play second fiddle.
That is so true.
They are using Archwell to fund their lifestyle, not to change the world, because the security bill alone said to be around $2 million a year, with money flowing out of the charity. So Archwell actually recorded total expenses of $5.1 million, according to its latest 990 form. Salaries for 2024 were listed at $913,000. Expenses were up 54% year on year, soaring from $3.3 million.
What showed up surprised people. Based on those findings, critics began claiming there could be millions of dollars in unsold stock sitting in storage. Numbers floating around as high as $23 million worth of product. According to those estimates, there were reportedly over 130,000 fruit spread gift boxes, tens of thousands of orange marmalades, candles, and decorative sprinkles still waiting to move. In one reported 24-hour stretch, only a couple dozen units sold. If that pace stayed steady, clearing the shelves could take years, and these are food items with expiration dates. That's where the concern starts creeping in. Bauer's take is blunt. He suggests the original sellout moment may have involved a very limited first drop, enough to spark hype and headlines, followed by massive production orders based on early curiosity. But curiosity doesn't always mean repeat customers. One reviewer compared the taste to a basic grocery store spread, just at a much higher price point. And once the excitement cooled, so did the sales momentum. As for Netflix, Bauer describes their support as cautious. The major deal that was supposed to turn Harry and Meghan into powerhouse creators has shifted tone.
He likes to portray Meghan as Diana, but they've got absolutely nothing in common at all.
Other expenses recorded at $2.9 million. Meanwhile, donations and grants to the group dipped from $5.3 million in 2023 to $2.1 million in 2024. Insiders skeptical of how Archwell, which doled out $1.25 million in grants in 2024, can continue. The source said if they're shooting out grants, then that's a net loss and they're not bringing in that much money. I believe it is clear exposure of what Archwell really is. A PR project, nothing more. It's disgusting.
It really is, Dan. And one of the things is that Harry and Meghan have always said service is universal. They're going to be doing charity in the States and all these things. And it's just completely and utterly false. It was just a lie from the very face of it. And we've seen this endlessly. Meghan praises herself constantly for being this great humanitarian. But when you really think about it, what has she done? I mean, even before she married Harry, she was part of World Vision.
I'm really abhorrent. Well, I go further than that. I mean, all those things can be excusable as youth and all the rest of it. But the support of Meghan in her full story about the conversation, which was banter, and I know that from first hand, and was really inconsequential, to support that was his act of folly, because he was already a grown man at that stage. He knew the consequence of it. It was pretty great.
With Love, Meghan wasn't renewed for a third season. In fact, some observers say what looked like 2 seasons was actually one project divided in parts. Reported rankings placed the show far down the platform's overall list, with a holiday special landing even lower. Bauer's opinion is sharp. He believes the content lacked originality and depth. He claims the execution felt overly controlled, overly polished. Behind the scenes, sources allegedly told him Meghan focused heavily on camera presentation, sometimes at the expense of warmth. That's his interpretation, and it paints a picture of ambition clashing with audience reality. The end result? A show that felt more staged than sincere. Tom Bauer says real kitchen personalities don't worry about camera angles. They focus on the craft. In his view, Meghan appeared more concerned with looking picture perfect than creating something raw and relatable. That polish, he argues, made the whole thing feel like a performance instead of real connection.
So much of the smoke and mirrors in the early days of the launch of that business was connected to the scarcity strategy, which meant that virtually no product was put on sale, right? So that it would sell out. And so that she got the good headlines, or what she thought was the good headlines. But now, the true extent of the stock available for As Ever has been revealed. It take Meghan Markle 9 years to get through her signature fruit spread gift box stock. That's seemingly what the math says, as an error in her As Ever website allows customers to not only see the entire amount in stock, but purchase them to the tune of over $5 million. This gives the greatest insight to the failure of As Ever so far, and the continued failure of Meghan Markle to manage products, websites, and brands, as this kind of information should never be publicly available. While this is just a small snapshot and not an overall indicator, it seems to confirm what many have suspected. Meghan Markle's As Ever gamble was a time suck and a money drain. It just seems that the audience for the products is rather small, and massively overstocking seems to indicate a lack of market research and overconfidence that will result in product waste. Only time will tell how long this company will last, and then you have quite rightly given credit to Saint Meghan Markle subreddit and the user KikiLove777 for discovering this obvious error in the website. Brittany, this is disastrous. This is catastrophic. It proves what you have been saying for some time, that As Ever is a flop, is a disaster. But the fact that this has been allowed to happen, Brittany, shows you what a shoddy, substandard, amateur hour business Meghan is running.
According to Bauer, Netflix executives allegedly realized within months that the content wasn't pulling strong audience interest. Viewers, he claims, expected something powerful, maybe a major royal documentary or a deeply personal story. Instead, they got lifestyle segments and product tie-ins. The remaining first look deal, Bauer suggests, may simply be a quiet industry fade-out. No dramatic breakup, just fewer returned calls. While that was unfolding in California, Harry was back in London, testifying in court over alleged phone hacking claims from years before Meghan entered his life. During emotional testimony, he became visibly upset and said the press had made his wife's life extremely difficult. That moment caught attention because the case focused on events long before their relationship began.
What happens in situations like that is that you have to fund the merchandise, which has to be at, they figure, well, it might sell 30,000. So you might then say, well, we'll will buy in 25,000. So the stock has to be there for when the merchant is merching the merchandise on the television or on Netflix or wherever it's going to.
Harry broke down in big boy tears as he gave some testimony today in his lawsuit against the Daily Mail, claiming that they have made his wife's life an absolute misery. Well, Harry, I'm sorry. Why does that have any bearing on this case at all? You're talking about articles that were written between 2001 and 2013, 3 years before you allegedly met your wife. So what does Meghan have anything to do with this trial? Well, as the answer turns out, it has everything to do with Prince Harry's motivation and his miserable existence right now, because his wife is miserable, she's making his life miserable, and everybody's living in absolute misery.
Problem lies is the fact that Harry and Meghan, when they do have a camera in front of them and when they are in a position to communicate with the public, they're not promoting that charity. They're typically complaining about what's going on in their lives or what happened 4 years ago. So people don't know that there's an opportunity there to collaborate with them and make the world a better place with their charity.
Bauer's interpretation is that Harry often frames his experiences through the lens of his marriage. In court, the judge reportedly had to remind him multiple times to focus on answering questions directly rather than debating with opposing counsel. It created a tense atmosphere. Meanwhile, Meghan remained in California, active on social media while the courtroom drama played out overseas. The contrast fueled more headlines. If Harry were to lose the case, legal expenses could climb significantly. Bauer believes the larger issue is financial sustainability. He estimates that maintaining their current lifestyle long-term would require hundreds of millions in steady capital. Harry's personal net worth has been estimated in the tens of millions. Substantial, but not unlimited. They're not without resources. But according to critics, major deals have cooled. Spotify ended its partnership earlier. Netflix appears quieter. Product sales have reportedly slowed. At one point, Harry was said to have participated in high-dollar fundraising dinners connected to Archewell.
Really does. I was shocked, Dan. Like when I first initially saw this post on X about it, I was like, no, there's just no way, because there's so much misinformation out there about Harry and Meghan in some ways. But then I was actually putting the numbers in and you're getting stock counts. And I'm like, you should never, ever see that on a website. And in case, unless they have like 1 or 2 left, they will let you know that. But to have potentially 37,000 fruit spreads sitting out there is astronomically bad, and to move them so slowly, again, this was just anecdotal, is insane. And to think that the website is so poorly constructed that you can see any of this information, again, just proves how poorly managed this business is, how much of a terrible businesswoman Meghan Markle is, and how much she didn't put any forethought into this and how little it's moved.
Never believed that my life is open season to be commercialized by these people. To act in the public interest is to interest the public. I fundamentally reject that. Having my life, like others, commercialized in this way since I was a teenager, delving into every aspect of my private life, listening to calls, blagging flights so they could see where I was going. It was a time when everyone was in competition with each other.
Did he actually donate to Archwell through this Charity Buzz thing to sit at the table with Harry and Meghan so Meghan had a buffer and he could get a tax write-off? I don't know how much money he makes, but that's just a funny idea. But this is a couple who had everything and they seemingly have squandered.
To Bauer, that signals pressure behind the scenes. His overall message, the ambition was massive, the expectations were sky high, but sustaining that level of visibility and spending requires constant wins. And right now, he argues those wins are harder to spot. And here's where Tom Bauer takes it even further. He argues that when a public figure has to auction access, selling seats at private dinners just to raise funds, it signals strain behind the curtain. In his view, when exclusivity becomes the product, the core brand may already be under pressure. Bauer also believes Harry's push for publicly funded UK security isn't only about protection. He suggests it could be tied to long-term positioning, staying relevant in Britain, and possibly reopening dialogue with King Charles. According to Bauer, the financial angle matters here. Reports have claimed the king has remained firm about not personally funding Harry's lifestyle.
The hope was that Netflix would fund, and the fact is that Netflix's funding was very limited for the first line of what was never produced, and because they were not prepared to put up good money on something that was so highly speculative. And the proof of the pudding, Dan, is in the eating of the figures, because according to Meghan, the line was sold out within 45 minutes. That tells you that the produce was in the low thousands. Several years ago, Arnold Scarcy, the great American, Canadian couturier, put me in touch with QVC to do a jewelry line. And I spoke to the head of QVC about
an institutional risk of the British monarchy.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, absolutely. A huge risk.
Really?
Absolutely. Because there's no doubt as they become more desperate financially and reputationally and seeking a purpose, they will do some very foolish things. And whatever Andrew has done, they will double the problem because they will not be controllable from London. So I do think that after Andrew, Charles and William do have this problem with the Montecito royals.
Even emotional courtroom references to family haven't shifted that stance, at least based on what's been publicly discussed. Then there's the bigger concern Bauer raises. He says the most sensitive period for the royal institution is when former insiders still hold stories, access, and the ability to speak publicly. Every interview, every speaking event, every potential book still draws value from royal association. That connection hasn't disappeared, even if the narrative says otherwise. Years ago, Bauer made a statement that keeps resurfacing. You can't build a long-term empire purely on grievance. Eventually, audiences don't stay angry. They just lose interest. And in 2026, he believes that shift is visible. The outrage cycle is cooled. The curiosity isn't as intense. What's left, critics say, are reported inventory backlogs, ongoing legal battles, and financial filings raising questions. Supporters still stand by them. Skeptics feel validated. The numbers, the court transcripts, the public deals, they're all part of the record now. But here's the real question, Khebus. Is this the final chapter or just another turn in a very public saga? Drop your thoughts below. If you want more celebrity drama and deep dives like this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. And check out the next video on your screen right now, just because if history tells us anything, this story isn't done yet. See you in the next one.